afternoon, good day. Today is Ed Cohen's show day, but I'm not Ed Cohen. I'm his doppelganger. Actually, I'm his guest host, Susan Spuhler from Westford. The kids, they love me. Thanks, kids. Today, we have a very special guest up here from Dallas, Texas. We have world-famous author and UFO researcher, Nick Redfern. And
that's what I am. That's what I am.
So Nick is up here for the Greater New England UFO Conference, UFO and Bigfoot Conference, but we thought we'd take an opportunity to hijack Ed Cohen's show and have a famous guest that actually has something really, really interesting to say for a change. So, Nick, I'm going to read Nick's biography. Nick Redfern is a full-time author and journalist specializing in a wide range of unsolved mysteries, including Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, UFO sightings, government conspiracies, alien abductions, and paranormal phenomenon. He writes regularly for the London Daily Express newspaper, Fortean Times, Fate, and UFO magazine. His previous books include Three Men Seeking Monsters, Strange Secrets, Cosmic Crashes, and the FBI Files. Among his exploits, Redfern has investigated reports of lake monsters in Scotland, vampires in Puerto Rico, werewolves in England, and aliens in Mexico, as well as sea serpents in the United States. Redfern travels and lectures extensively around the world. Originally from England, he currently lives in Dallas, Texas. So, Nick, how about telling us about your latest book, Mothman and Other Flying Monsters?
Well, that's all about Mothman. You may have heard of the Mothman, a strange flying creature with blasting red eyes. And people have seen this strange creature for years. And over the years, I've been traveling around the United States, the UK, and other countries for these mysterious creatures, these glowing eyes. And we don't really know what this creature is, but it looks like something, an ancient creature, a creature from a long time ago. And the story is that Mothman is sort of like a half human and half monster. And I'm one of these people who likes to go on the road and go on expeditions, and I think that's the best way to get answers to mysteries. And so that's exactly what I like to do. And I like to keep away from the normal time sorry. Sorry.
It's okay, keep going.
Okay, let me start that bit again. One of the things I particularly like to do is to go on the road looking for these creatures, like, for example, Mothman. And I've been doing this for a long time, and there's no doubt that these creatures are real. It's just what they are, and just fighting for the answers. And we can say that these creatures might be extraterrestrials, aliens, so they may well tie in with UFOs and flying saucers. So,
with regarding Sasquatch or Yeti, or the Yetis or Bigfoots, where are the predominant places in the United States that you've been to that have that you've potentially encountered them?
Yeah, I mean, Bigfoot is probably one of the most well-known monsters in the United States. And everybody's heard of Bigfoot. Other people call it Sasquatch. And they're sort of giant apes, about 7 to 9 feet in height. And they seem to be look at start as just like unknown animals. But the more close that you see and you hear, things get even more weird. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. Some people believe that Bigfoot are not just, shall we say, just apes. they could themselves as well be extraterrestrials, be aliens. So we've got a lot of strange creatures, weird creatures, running around the very deep forests in the United States. And some people claim to have seen them, photographed them, and there are some good pictures of Bigfoot. There's no doubt about that. And the pictures, very, very good. But on the other side, other people say, well, no, this is just garbage, this is just nonsense. And I say, I put my side of the story out because I think it's important that we do go out there and look for these answers. And I'm sure they are. Now, personally, I've never seen a Bigfoot, unfortunately. I wish I did, or have. But the more and more that I dig into it, and the more and more when we see these gigantic footprints in various parts in the country, that gives me more and more beliefs that they are out there. And there's probably round about now somewhere in the range of about 300 to 400 people who go out in the forests in the North America. And I've been out there a lot of time investigating, going out into the woods. The latest I've been out there was 17 days. And luckily I wasn't attacked by a bear or anything like that, because the bear probably would have been worse than Bigfoot, actually. So from my perspective, I think looking for Bigfoot is a fascinating phenomenon, just like Mothman, and again, Mothman is one of these creatures which they sort of. Okay. Mothman is slightly different from Bigfoot in the sense that the Mothman creatures are also possibly paranormal, supernatural, extraterrestrial, and creatures from other worlds. There are a lot of connections, and again, every time I hear these stories, I'm out on the road just to see what I can find and just do what I've got to do. Now, people sometimes say to me, you're going to go and get one with a bullet, shoot it, and I would never do that. If I saw one of these creatures in the woods, whether it's Mothman, whether it's Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, any of these creatures, I wouldn't dare to kill one of these things. That would be, for me at least, that would be the worst thing to do. I mean, granted, if somebody killed one of these things, it would prove the truth, but that would be a horrible way to get the answers. I would not do that at all. I'm more of like a sort of someone who wants to keep this down low, and I think from my perspective, leave these creatures alone, try and find out what they are, and leave it from there. Because a lot of these creatures appear to be highly intelligent. These are not just sort of dumb creatures or anything like that. So I think we really should look after them if we see them.
Some people think that they're interdimensional, and also there have been people I know that have had that Bigfoot will leave them little gifts made of straw, little people, like little dolls. And in the woods, there's been some empirical data where there have been the Bigfoots have thrown like deer into the trees, or they've taken big branches and making big X's. Have you seen that, or have you encountered that when you're research?
Yeah, there's a lot of weird things. I mean, we just talked about dimensional places, going from different multi-dimensionals, jumping from one dimension to another. And that might explain why these creatures are so big but we just cannot catch them. And I think that is a plausible possibility. And for me, I think we have to look at some of the alternative possibilities. For example, many people think that the Bigfoot creatures they're themselves aliens, extraterrestrials, and I think that's a possibility. I do. Now, where they come from, I don't know, and I don't know if we'll ever know. But like anything in life, you know, when you're looking for something, you got to get out there and do the work and see what we can find. And from there, the subject of things like Mothman and Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, the interest in these subjects are really growing. I mean, Loch Ness, for example, in Scotland, 22 miles long, about 22 miles deep, and a lot of people have been there over the years. And in fact, we have reports going back of the Loch Ness monsters going back to about 3 centuries. So this has been around, this creature, the Loch Ness monster, been around for a long, long time. And I've been over there several times, and again, these creatures turn out to be pretty much elusive. That's the word I hate, elusive. But that's how it works out. But all of these creatures, though, we have to look for them. And I think if you had caught one of these creatures for a while, just a Loch Ness monster, I think it would really sort of change the whole phenomenon of all these strange creatures, and it would also probably alter the situation that relates to things like UFOs, because people would say, well, if we found a Bigfoot, then now this means we might be able to capture another creature, and I think that's a good thing. You know, we might see them but not catch them. But we can say to people, see, we've got the answers, or at least we've got some answers. So for me, whichever ones we see first, whether it's Mothman, if it's Bigfoot, if it's lake monsters, things like that, like Ogopogo, which is one of the most famous lake monster. And for me, I think we're pushing forward. We're getting answers. We've got now people experts in not just in what's known as cryptozoology, but in just normal, everyday ology. That's what I say. I say all these things are all ologies of one side or of another. And as I also said, there is, I think, some kind of connection with the UFO subject, and the UFO subject is a very interesting to me, because my father, he was in the British military Air Force in the 1950s, and he worked on radar, and he was on a plane recording radar when the pilots were seeing and coming from the radar, seeing and hearing what you would call flying saucers zipping across the sky. And my dad got reports on the papers of all the sightings and the flying saucers following our pilots. And my dad didn't tell me about this until I was probably about 14, he told me, and that was when everything sort of came to the forward, if you like. And my dad told me the story. I was like, wow, Dad, you know, you were in the military and you were sort of chasing flying saucers. I mean, it's not everybody does that every day, you know. And so I think probably to some degree, that story with my father, that was part of the things that allowed for all of these phenomena to sort of surf out of the water, if you like, in some way. You know, we can go all around the world. It's, for a lot of people, think, you know, there's not many of these things, and it's just people coming out the pub at midnight. You know, we have that one quite a time, you know. And but in saying that, I mean, there's a lot of other things. I mean, there's some things I do investigate. I don't do things like ghosts and things like that. It's not really my side. But strange creatures, strange animals, sort of connecting them together with the UFO subject and making a very good connection. And I think the other thing that which makes me laugh as well, you know, when I always, you know, people say, well, what do you do? Oh, well, I'm a monster hunter. And they're like, you're a what? So I'm a monster hunter. Oh, yeah, one of those Bigfoot guys, one of those Yeti monsters, one of those Nessie things up in Scotland. I said, yep, that's what I do. And I think it's important. I mean, just because we haven't found these things, and because we haven't really caught one, that doesn't mean we shouldn't, you know, just stop like that. You know, we should keep on going. And for me, I think we are doing the, you know, the right thing. But as I said earlier, I would hate for anything to happen to any of these creatures, and it would create, I think, even more amazing activity in our world.
Because we were just with Paul Eno yesterday, and he was telling us about his experience down in Dubois County, Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of weird stuff in and around these creatures. I mean, over the years, people claim to have heard what they thought were sort of Bigfoot languages. And if you Google Bigfoot language, 1970s, you'll hear these really, really strange, weird creatures. I mean, they sound extremely strange. And so it's important to use technology and science, and in doing that, you know, we're sort of just you know, making things even better. But yes, science is coming in really well in this whole subject of cryptozoology. And for me, you know, the more science, the more answers, I think. And the more people who are investigating and doing things, they're growing as well. But, you know, there's always going to be somebody who says, Nick, you know, what the hell are you doing, you know? but I accept that, you know, and I've always accepted that. But I mean, also, I mean, I enjoy doing it as well. And I like sort of every day, really, going out and looking for these things. And for me, it's not a job; it's a passion. And I think having a passion of any time, of any kind, is a good thing.
Yeah. Oh, personal encounters. So you haven't met one though, have you? Nick?
No.
But Paul Eno was down in Pennsylvania, and he was telling us there was one in the field, and he was about to take a picture of it, and his wife called him. Mm-hmm. He said if there was ever a time that he was furious, so that he missed that picture. But there's a group here in Massachusetts called Squatchachusetts, and that group is headed up by Jonathan Wilk. He lives out in Western Massachusetts, and Dave McCullough. Dave McCullough will be a speaker for our conference as well, but he's the two of them often go on expeditions and bring groups out into the woods with them. Leominster is a hot spot for Bigfoot activity, as well as Barrie, Granby, all over, places that are heavily wooded. Down in Bridgewater, there are people that have had encounters down there in Bridgewater as well. Let's see, there's also the chupacabra.
Yeah.
The chupacabra is that kind of a wolf sort of creature down in Puerto Rico, or what is that? Mike, is that correct?
Yeah, I've been many occasions to Puerto Rico looking for the so-called
chupacabra.
Yeah. On many occasions, I've been to Puerto Rico looking for the chupacabra. Strange creature, very strange. It's like a cross between, sort of like, well, it depends who you ask, because there's different types of chupacabra. There's some on Texas which look like bald dogs, but there are other ones which look more like, sort of like a dragon. And the ones I've investigated mostly are on Puerto Rico, and they're amazing creatures. I've never seen them again, unfortunately, but I've spoke to a lot of the people who live on Puerto Rico, and I say, what do you think about these creatures, running around, and they've got these red eyes, and I'll hear back, chupacabra. And so in places like Puerto Rico and some of the deep islands around the world, a lot of people take these stories very, very seriously.
Wow. And so in different parts of the world, Bigfoot are called like the abominable snowman or the Yeti, and those are the ones that are white. I guess it depends on where they are, as for their size, as for their features. And so, but around here we have woods that are dark and brown, of course, and then so that's what the Yetis are, or the Bigfoots are here, and then there are some areas, especially one of them is in Connecticut, where it's considered to be a flap area, where this is where the Bigfoot will come out, and then it will just kind of fade back into another dimension potentially. So.
Well, yeah, I mean, the story of the abominable snowman is a fascinating one. Fascinated, I said. Sorry, let me start that again. The story of the Yeti, which is the mirror image, if you like, of Bigfoot. And we're looking at the abominable snowman and the Yeti pretty much in the frozen areas in the United States, but they look just like each other. We've got Bigfoot, we've got the Yeti. They're all around in massive mountainous areas, but some of them are white hair, and the others some of them have red, are said to have sort of a brown colour, and the likelihood is that they're similar creatures. They may not be altogether in the same like with dogs and cats. There are different types, and I think probably it comes along that sort of scenario.
So looking at, you'd written, one of your books was called The Philadelphia Experiment. Can you tell us a little bit about the Philadelphia Experiment?
Yeah, Mothman and Monsters. That's all about Mothman. This one we talked about earlier, about this humanoid-looking creature which has these sort of huge bat-like wings with these glowing eyes, and which terrify people all around the world. And they've become probably one of the most famous known creatures around. There was a movie called the Mothman Prophecies, and that's a really good movie, really. I push people to read that. It's a really good book, and it comes across monsters, but in a very serious way as well, but also having the adventure too. So that's why I would suggest people really read the book and take a look at the minister, and I think also, you know, we are looking now with Mothman more and more people are seeing these what are called becoming known as flying humanoids, and they, like I said earlier, they seem to look like humanoids, just like us, but with these shiny black wings. What are they? You could say they look like some sort of demonic creature, like a gargoyle or something like that. What they are, again, we don't really know. And people often ask me, you know, do you get frustrated? And honestly, I don't, because I've got the sort of the energy, you know, to have that angle, to just get out there and go after this and go after that. And for me, there's never really a time where I are sitting there going, it's always like it's something I want to do. I want to do this. I want to do that.
So what was one of the big prophecies that Mothman, wasn't it a bridge collapsed or something? What was the?
Yeah. In 1967, there was a collapse of a huge metal bridge in West Virginia. Actually killed dozens of people who drowned and the area. It was terrible because so many people killed, and the theory was that because the Mothman was seen sort of floating around the skies of the area where these poor people were killed, people start to suggest that that the Mothman was sort of a cursed type creature, and that he was the cause of the disaster. Now, you could say, well, Mothman just happened to be in the area. On the other hand, maybe Mothman really was in that area and really was killed. You know, 35 people killed. And for me, it goes sort of 50-50. Maybe Mothman was just out there, and there was a terrible disaster where so many people were killed. Maybe not. But for me, I think there is sort of like a sinister side of this particular story. Mothman does seem to be some kind of dangerous creature. So many researchers now have started to dig out Mothman and all of these creatures. But for me, Mothman is really one of the most famous ones, adventurous, and it really is a creature that I go over after and after and after, and I think in one of these days I will find, whether dead or alive, the remains of a Mothman.
Well, thank you very much, Nick, for joining us today on the Ed Cohen Show, and we appreciate your time.
Well, thank you too as well.
Okay.
Ed Sullivan is dead, but Cohen isn't. And when it comes to weather, Cohen's smart. As New York as you get, his money's on the Mets, which goes to show that Ed's a Joe who always bets his heart. You'll hear a slick review or two from Nicky, and Cantor Something Berg will sing some song. There's weather news and shtick, enough to make you sick. You'll be glad you came along.